But they're wearing concrete overshoes. Which I guess is better than wearing one of those metal halos around your neck. And that's what old Mosh Pit Jones narrowly avoided in his match with Drew McIntyre. I am not going to lie. I have had people say that old Mosh Pit Jones is decent, but I'm not watching anything involving grown men named Happy or Madcap. However, after the fact, I did watch the clip of they call it an Alabama Slam because it's something kind of like what Bob Holly used to do, but it was different, and we'll illustrate how. But I can't explain to you unless he just lost track of where he was in the air. I don't understand how that happened, and I don't understand why that he was apparently termed fine, moments later after the match, whatever.
Especially if you're going to do that thing with Lashley later on, with concussion protocol.
Oh, yeah. Boy, I'll show you how to fucking protocol a concussion, motherfucker. I mean, Lashley kind of sunk down in a fucking heap, and they took him out in an ambulance. This guy was literally thrown with malice aforethought head first to a hard surface and fucking popped up and was Madcap just moments later.
He lives his gimmick.
He lives it. It's because he has brain damage now. If anybody didn't watch this show, but they want to search the clip on Twitter, I guess I'm trying to relay the information to people about what this move was by Bob Holly. Used to do something he called the Alabama Slam. Imagine that you bend over, a guy's going to give you a pile driver. But instead of that guy picking you up and giving you a pile driver, you stand up under him and pick him up upside down. Now everybody kind of knows the position I'm talking about. And what Holly would do is Holly would then bend over and pull the guy's legs and snap him down to where he'd land flat of his back. Boom! In what they called an Alabama Slam, not to be confused with the Alabama Jam that Bobby Eaton did, which was the leg drop off top rope. So, I wasn't a fan of Bob Holly's Alabama Slam, and I'll tell you why. And to be honest, I don't know that I ever met any wrestler that was a fan of taking that move from Bob or anybody else. Not because they didn't know what they were doing, but just because it's not a great bump to take. The thing is that when you're just picked up and body slammed, or even, let's say, a vertical suplex where you land flat, right? And that's the idea, to spread the impact out, to land as flat as possible for your back, for your neck, and everything. And also, on just a regular body slam, gravity is the thing that's putting you down. And on even a vertical suplex, gravity is pretty much, unless, you get into the Dynamite Kid kind of, I'm going to fucking slam you as hard as possible. But it's gravity and you're landing flat. Well, this move, yes, it's still, you're landing flat, but there's a little bit more involved than gravity, because you're not being picked up and dropped. You're being whipped over and then put down. And I'm not smart enough for all the terminology of the physics of the thing, Brian, but I think everybody's aware that when you crack a bullwhip, the reason why that the crack of the whip makes a noise, or you could crack why Bianca Belair with her hair, right, is because if you do it right, you get the fucking movement, the end of that long whip or that long ponytail or the whatever actually breaks the sound barrier or whatever. So when you're being whipped over, a guy's bending over and pulling your legs and whipping you over to plant you flat on the mat, your head is moving faster than the rest of you, because your head is the end of that whip. And that's why even when guys tuck their head, you could get the back of your head is going to fucking bounce on that mat in a lot of cases when you take that bump. The back of you, or you're going to get whiplashed a little bit, or you're going to feel it. It's hard. It's a harder bump because of the momentum involved than just a regular body slam or a backdrop or whatever where gravity is doing its thing. And that's why a lot of guys didn't like taking it, and I don't blame them. Because if flat back bumps, as we've mentioned before, who was it? Dr. Francois, I believe, is the one that came up with this formula. Every body slam or flat back bump that you take on the average wrestling ring is the equivalent of being in a car and getting rear-ended at 30 miles an hour. So then magnify that for something like this. Well, these two chuckle fucks, Drew McIntyre and Mosh Pit, they decided to change the formula on that Alabama Slam, and this time, instead of being jerked down flat of his back, old Mosh Pit he's turned around the other way, and when Drew pulled the legs and bent over, Mosh Pit is going face first toward the mat. You would think that would be easier because you're looking where you're going. And possibly, I don't know whether they've ever done this before. I've never seen it, that variety of it, that variation. But instead of, when McIntyre bent over and pulled the legs under, he starts going over forwards, and instead of just taking a splash bump, face first, kind of arms out, turn your head to the side, whatever, he tucked his head like he was going to be taking a bump the other way. And like I said, I know sometimes gymnasts get lost in the air on a revolution, or I don't know. I can't explain it, because you would think you knew what the bump was going to be. It couldn't be anything that would require you to turn your head and duck forward. So I don't know why he would do it on purpose, unless he just lost where he was in the air, which can happen. But as a result, he's going over forwards, and he tucked his head down forward on top of that. And Brad, would you say he pretty much landed right straight with every bit of weight that you could land on top of his fucking head?
Right on top of his head. It looked bad.
And then they rolled him out and checked him, and he got up and said, "I'm good. I'm all right. Nothing to see, just a flesh wound." And got back in and did whatever. So, miraculous. Oh, well, that was followed by a travelogue for Saudi Arabia, where all the people were dancing and making merry, and music was being played. No girls in bikinis. Didn't see any of that, though.
No, but they were having fun, all just standing around, playing together, knowing that the cameras are filming them, and you must show happiness right now, or these sticks will be taken from you and you'll be beaten with them.
Yeah, and there was that one woman that was like looking at the camera and then looking to next to her and then looking next to her on the other side and looking back at the camera and blinking 3 times, making hand motions. I don't know what that was about.